card ahead of us. A lot as well I've already locked in. A couple of others I'm still eyeing off. I'm not too sure about. Mixed bag in terms of market positions at the moment, which is completely fine because it's just been one of those seasons. But I ended up pulling the trigger on the under in San Antonio, Charlotte. I'm at like 232. So I'm way under market here. It's going to be super, super uncomfortable. Two teams who are happy to run the floor, but the Spurs without Trey Jones in particular are just not a very good functioning offense. Their shot quality over the last 2 weeks is the worst in the NBA by some margin. 1.08 points per possession on average is not great. So even in a game where we're looking at probably 104, 105 possessions, that level of shot quality is not enough to get it done. So unless they have a pretty big spike in terms of offensive output in this one, the Hornets at home this season, which is really interesting, are actually a good transition team defensively in terms of limiting opponent points per possession in transition and limiting frequency of transition opportunities as well. So if they continue to do that again at home, they force San Antonio into half-court sets. Like I said, the Spurs offense these last couple of weeks is the worst in the NBA in terms of efficiency and in terms of quality being created there. The Hornets offense, we know, can obviously get hot in a hurry, but Terry Rozier downgraded to doubtful, probably won't play tonight. That's pretty big for them. It means a lot of Dennis Smith Jr. minutes alongside LaMelo Ball, which obviously impacts their spacing quite significantly at that end of the floor. And also for the Spurs as well, it also looks like we're going to see a lot of Devontae Graham minutes, which is just not good for any overs. He's been as inefficient as you can ask any player to be in the league over the last couple of seasons. His Spurs debut basically was just that, inefficient, taking a lot of shots, not great shots, and not making them either. So the under for me in that one, like I said, I'm pretty significantly under market, even in a game that's likely just going to be a back and forth action. I just don't think that these teams are going to be efficient enough to clear a really, really high number. Detroit at Boston, I got an under 228.5, pretty decent market position there at 226.5, but not feeling as great about it now, admittedly, that it seems Marcus Smart is out of nowhere going to play this game before the All-Star break. We assumed he'd sit out. We've spoken about in previous shows how different the offense is when he's in versus he's out in terms of the pace, in terms of the spacing. But at the same time, this Boston defense has been very, very good lately. And they have done a pretty good job of suffocating and stopping Detroit the last couple of meetings that they've had with them. I expect that to continue again. I don't think the Pistons are in a position to really push things too much. They're looking forward to the break as much as any team, I think, in the league right now. So don't mind it still. I wouldn't recommend grabbing the unders at current market, though. That's pretty close to where I have it now that the Celtics are going to be getting some pretty key pieces back. Houston at OKC, I grabbed an over 235. That's 234 now. I can understand the market moving that way, just given the way that Houston's sort of shot quality and shot profile matches up. But the Thunder at home in a game where they're going to be allowed to run in transition against a team who is dead last in terms of transition frequency, who is dead last in terms of points per possession allowed in transition offense, who is dead last in opponent 3-point frequency allowed. I think that's just going to be a situation where the Thunder are going to dictate things. They're going to score well. They're going to have little trouble, I think, getting to their spots. And I think we get a decent offensive output as well from the Houston Rockets in this one. We've said before, the Thunder do a terrific job of limiting teams being able to attack the paint, drive to the basket. The Rockets are just going to happily, space the floor, take a ton of threes, and should get enough looks, I think, as well to make things at a reasonable clip. And that's going to be enough in a game that's going to have a ton of possessions. Like I said, I project this one to be about 103, 104 possessions each team. So that'll be enough with the quality of looks both teams are getting. If they are shooting just about their league average, we don't necessarily need them to be lights out tonight either, in my opinion. So the over 234 for me, a good look if you haven't already got involved in this game. Dallas +7. This one dropped down to Dallas +4.5. Looks like it might go back to Dallas +5 potentially. Kyrie was doubtful, then he was on track to play. Now he's questionable. I think he does still play, but the Dallas +7 number was just wrong. So I'm glad we got on that one. Hopefully most of you guys did as well. even if Kyrie's out, it goes back to 6.5. Like 7 was just never the right number there. I'm not sure why we got offered that number for Dallas. More than happy to take it. If Kyrie does play, like I said, this offense can go toe-to-toe with Denver. No doubt about that whatsoever. So I'm more than happy to have any points in my pocket there in that situation. No interest at 4.5. I make it 4. Basically pass if you haven't already got involved there, but hopefully you did catch the best of that one. The Pelicans at +5, still at +5. Just grabbed that one earlier. LeBron on track to play, but again, this is just a number I can't get to. I kind of have this at about 2.5, 3. This line is suggesting that the Lakers would still be 2.5 points, possibly 3-point favorites on a neutral, depending on what you value home court at. That's a little bit crazy to me. I think I have these teams basically right on par. So even at home, I give the Lakers basically just over 2. So I have almost 3 points of value here. More than happy to grab it. Happy for LeBron to play and still think that we're getting the best of the number in this one. So really like the matchup as well for the Pelicans offense. I think that they're going to be able to get their way. We saw them snap their losing streak against the Lakers and what they were able to do offensively in that matchup. I think that basically can be repeated here. Brandon Ingram back to his best basketball at the moment as well. So he should be having little trouble, I think, getting to his spots against his defense and opening up the floor for the rest of the team as well. Obviously, CJ McCollum questionable. It would be preferable that he plays in this one, but I don't think we're going to lose a ton of value if he were to sit. I don't expect him to sit, though. This spot in a game of this magnitude, given what these teams are fighting for at the moment, I would expect him to go unless he is genuinely injured in a pretty bad way. So that is my pretty busy big card here for what is a pretty big, busy NBA day before the final day and the All-Star break. Nothing else I don't think that I'm going to add at this point in time, just looking at the current markets. The only other leans that I did have that I didn't end up getting on, I did lean towards the over in Cleveland, Philadelphia at 216. That's 216.5 now. I made it 219. We obviously still have a questionable tag on Joel Embiid. That market seems to be flipping because they don't know whether he's genuinely in or out. I would suggest that he does play in this one. And if he does, that obviously slows down the pace of play a lot. It requires both teams to have to be pretty efficient to get over that 216.5, just given we're probably looking at a game at around 93, 94 possessions for each team, versus like the 104, 105 we're talking about in something like San Antonio, Charlotte. So that's a pretty significant difference there. So the overs in Cleveland, Philadelphia was the other one that I had market value on that I didn't play. Utah, obviously, depending on whether Lauri Markkanen is good to go, they're out to +9.5 now. If they got above +10.5, if he's out, that's probably valuable for me. I don't think that the Grizzlies should be laying that basically against any team in the NBA right now. I just don't trust that offense enough. Although this is a better matchup for them against a team who seems to love allowing teams to run in transition. So, yeah, that's one that for me I'd rather stay away from, but that's the only other game that I do show a little bit of market value on. I was hoping for a lower total in the Knicks-Hawks game. I'm at 231.5 there. If we had like a 228.5, I would have been all over that one. That one's kind of came down a little bit from the opener, got down to 232, has been brought back up to 233.5. Again, the only reason I'm not involved on an over here, my projected number of possessions is sort of at about 97. So it involves both teams having to be very, very efficient, which I think they can be. I spoke last show about the Knicks offense trending in the right direction at the moment. The +3.5 looks like it's going to hit a 4 maybe on Pinnacle. If that hits a 4, I'll probably buy in on the Knicks there. I make it 2 flat. I don't think I can get anywhere close to 4 here. So that would be a buy spot for me on the Knicks, is if +4 starts popping up for them. Currently +3.5 at plus money on Pinnacle. So that's basically all I have locked in, and all the other ones that I show value on a big card.